Hello everyone, and welcome to another Live from the Workshop. However, this week's episode is going to differ slightly from my other ones. As you may have noticed, I'm here talking about it, but there is a very good reason for this. Firstly, this episode differs slightly in that the actual making process is not going to be shown. As with my other larger scale projects, I have a very limited space in which to work, and so doing a large project, such as this, can make filming quite difficult. As such, what you're actually going to see is a step-by-step progression where I've done something and then talk about what I've done and talk about what I'm going to do next. I'm sure some people might say, can you make more of your episodes like this? But I'm afraid it's just not something that I want to do. For me, I prefer to show as much of the actual making process as I can because I feel it's more interesting than just listening to me talking about it. Secondly, this episode differs in that, unfortunately, when downloading the original footage, I found that the first part was corrupted, and as much as I tried, I couldn't retrieve it. So I'm here now to fill you in on all the bits that you've missed. Luckily, it's nothing terribly important. Originally, this custom started out as my 18-inch Asylum Daleks variant. As much as I loved my Asylum Dalek, every time I looked at it, I just thought I could do something better. It was quite a shame to see one of these fantastic models put into such a state. After much research and thought, I decided to turn it in to a new series version of the Dalek time controller that I had previously made in 3 3/4 inch. A new series variant of this is soon to be seen, or heard, in the War Doctor Volume 3 Big Finish series under the title Dalek Time Strategist. And yes, before people start commenting below, I am planning to do a custom of this in future. So to start with, on this custom, one of the first things I needed to do was just some repair work. This included repairing some of the spheres on the sides using original parts and reconstructing some pieces out of card. And also to cut away the midsection and scratch build a new section of neck rings to go in the replacement hole. Once that was done, it was simply a case of respraying it an overall blue, and luckily that is where the footage continues from now. So now, as this was filmed last year, I will hand you over to my past and slightly more bearded self to continue this video. Okay, so I have done this. Let me just remove my lamp so I get a bit of a better light on it. I've done the spray. It's actually come out. This is definitely matte paint. I've double checked this. I've checked the label. It's definitely matte paint, but it's come up with a bit more of a gloss look to it. Doesn't really matter overall. It's just not how I was quite expecting it to look, but it's good in a way because it does give it that sort of shiny, slight metallic look to it. I did look for some metallic spray paint originally, but the only stuff that I found or was in my local art shop was a kind of glittery metallic, and I really didn't want to do that. So that is currently why I haven't gone for an actual metallic coat. This bit, I have made this. Unfortunately, I didn't think this through. I have actually built this. So the next step that I've got to do now is basically to start adding on some of the smaller details. So what I'm going to have to do now is to paint up the spheres, paint up the black grills, and also use silver Sharpie to go around and Sharpie up all of these silver details that need doing. Let's get on to it and see if we can do it. Okay, so I unfortunately tried to paint this up on camera using Sharpies, but it just didn't work. It didn't look right. It was all tacky and horrible. So in the end, I decided to spray paint it up again. That's why I'm not touching it, because it is still slightly wet. Unfortunately, I got some spray paint on the dome, so I had to respray that as well. So there's still some little areas that need going over around the edges, unfortunately, because I had to use some cloth to mask off the edges and the dome, which did leave some little areas uncoloured, but I will use the Sharpie just to colour those in. That won't matter. So the next step, as you can see, I've added in this piece. You can get to see this now. So we've added in this extra neck piece. This is literally just made from cardboard, and the edge of this is lined with Milliput, and the edges of these are all made up of just bits of card and things. So I've already painted that one in. So the next step is going to be to paint the individual ones of these up, which is going to take a while. And then obviously start painting up, sharpieing in all of the slats on the side, the details here on the front, and obviously painting up each of these spheres black. The other thing that I still need to do as well is to paint up the base, which is still its grimy asylum looking style. I'm gonna have to get some black matte spray paint to do that, but generally I think it's coming on very well. It's looking very good. I'm very pleased with how it's turning out, and yeah, so the next you see this, hopefully I will have bits sharpied in, coloured in. So I shall do some more to it now, but you guys are going to see it right now. Alright, so I have finished the first coat of painting on the spheres. I'm going to get onto the second coat of that this afternoon. It took a long time, but hopefully the second coat won't take too long, as I literally just need to go over them. I haven't managed to yet spray up the base, because that is still I'm still waiting on the paint for that. But if I just bring the base in, and if you'll excuse me taking you off camera for a second. It gives you an idea, at the very least, as I said, it still needs to be sprayed up, but it gives you an idea, at the very least, of how he's going to look once the base is on there. I think it's going to look very good. So basically, what I need to do now is wait for the paint for the base to turn up, and I need to get some more card to make the cross rings. I might do that sometime this week, go into town and get some more card. I've been waiting for a decent day to bring it back on the bus, because it was been chucking it down with rain the last couple of days and I didn't want to get the card wet. So yeah, I might go and do that later today or tomorrow. But once that's done, I can make a start on doing the cross rings, and then it's really just the base I'm waiting for, and after that he will be complete. Alright, now I've just got to add the neck rings. Done. Okay, so I have the cross rings on my Dalek time controller added. I'm very pleased with how they've come out. It's a little bit of a rough edge where it joins at the front and the back, but if you see them from a distance, I don't think you can really notice that. It's only if you get sort of quite up close that you can see where the glue joins. But just generally, I think they've come together very well. I'm very pleased with how it's looking and how it's coming together. So now the final step is to respray the base, which, as you can see, is still grimy. I was planning to wait to do the cross rings until after I'd done the base, but I'm still waiting on the paint, and just to save time I thought, well, I might as well make a start on the cross rings. So I planned to sort of draw out the templates, and then the templates became sort of the first layer. Essentially what I've done is there's 3 layers of card in here, and then they are just covered in plain A4 paper and then edged with A4 paper to come out how they are now. So yeah, originally it was just a case of saying, right, I'll draw up the template so I've got an idea of size, and then I drew up the templates, and then I thought, well, I'm going to need more than one piece to make them, so I'll draw up 2 or 3 templates and then I can put those together. And then I thought, well, I've drawn them, I might as well put them together now. And then I put them together, and I thought, well, I might as well line them, and I thought, well, I might as well paint them, and then I might as well fit them. So here they are. So yeah, it's just a case now of waiting for the spray paint for the base to come, and then I can add on, spray that up, and then add the small details like the silver rivets. I've already added the ones on the dome. But once those are done, there's a little bit of touch-up needs doing here and there on the grills. But once the base is done, it will be finished. So hopefully the next time you see it, he will be complete. And so here is my finished 18-inch time controller. I am so ecstatically pleased with how this has come out. He's got a few little rough edges here and there, as I said, where I've glued on the cross rings, but just generally it's come out so much better than I hoped it would. The shade of blue is perfect. You know, the paint has got a nice sort of gloss sheen to it. It was supposed to be matte, but it's come out with a nice gloss sheen, which gives it a sort of slightly metallic look, which works very well. Obviously, if I bring in his, just put in the foreground here. I'm trying to get this on camera. I'm having to do this through the camera screen, but you get an idea of where I was going and what I was trying to do. But obviously, if we bring this fellow in, still small. You really get an idea. This is a 375. You really get an idea of how big this fellow is. But I am so very pleased with how it's come out. It's definitely one that I am proud to have in my collection, and I really feel like I've redeemed this Dalek from the asylum. I have redeemed him from the dark. and he has certainly got a new lease of life. Very pleased with how the crossings come out, but I have to say, and I apologise to blow my own trumpet here, but I really am pleased with how this grill has come out, because when you get up close to this, you can see that it is made of card. You can see that this front part here is milliput and stuff like that. But when you see it from afar, it really does look like it's been made that way. I'm genuinely, as I said, I'm not trying to big myself up here, but there's the little things like this are sometimes the hardest to do, and the way that this has come out really does look like it's part of the existing model. So it is something that I am very pleased about, and I will big myself up a little bit, because I really feel like I've done a great job there. But as I said, I don't want to blow my own trumpet and and say, oh, I'm really good at this. But it's about having pride in your work, and I feel really proud about how that specifically has come out. And obviously, I've resprayed up the base and added on the silver rivets as well, so that's come together very well. Obviously, this isn't a functioning one, which is a bit of a shame, but it's still a great piece to have as a collection piece. And obviously, just to show you the rear as well, again, a little bit rough and ready at the rear. I've had to repaint it and respray it, but it still works great, it still looks perfect, and he really does look superb. Alongside, if I bring in my standard bronze, quite heavy, but he really does look the piece next to it, and it really is something that I'm so immensely proud of, because I have to say, I think, as much as I love my other customs I've done, I think this is probably one of my best 18-inch customs. And the reason that I say that is because with Rusty as such, he is very much just still a bronze Dalek. I mean, he's had bits added on, and I've had to modify him and do things like that, but the base Dalek is still just there, and so it's still fairly standard. The Emperor's Guard that I did, again, just basically repainted the dome, new arm, and repainted the spheres. Again, still very much a standard Dalek. Davros, obviously I've had to completely scratch build most of the upper part, which I'm very proud of, but when you're scratch building something, it's easy to scratch build something from the very beginning, because you haven't got to worry about modifying other things to fit. All I had to really modify for Davros was to cut off the midsection here so I could put my bit on top. That's basically it. Whereas this, I've had to, I've had to cut bits out, I've had to add new bits in, I've had to modify them, I've had to repair spheres that came off that I took off the previous one, I've had to make them look decent, and so I've, in terms of modifying a model and putting and working on it, I've put a lot more effort into this than I have. Well, I feel like I've put a lot more effort into this, a lot more work into this than my other ones. I put effort into all of my customs, but this one has really been, this is, out of all my 18-inch customs, this is probably the best way of saying it, out of all my 18-inch customs, this has been the most challenging. And I feel like I've definitely risen to that challenge, and I've completed it very well. So I am extremely pleased with how it's come out, and I feel very proud to show it off to you all. And he will be forever a landmark in my 18-inch collection. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, favourite, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon. So as always, I hope cut, and I'll do that again.